Welcome back to Crisis Report by PrepperNow. Yeah. Did an earlier live stream on PrepperNow. Got a little naughty, got a little ranty. Sorry, like common sense and logic. I want it to return, and you hear things, you see things, and you see how people react, and you're just like, how do you do it that way? I don't know. So we're going to do it over here on the Crisis Report. We're going to tell you all about it. It's not super crazy right now. I mean, Trump's basically leading the news cycle, so seems like we're kind of trending towards the possibility of an end in the Ukrainian thing. But it really seems like Europe and Zelensky just want to keep fighting. So my conspiracy theory on all that is that basically Trump wants to neutralize any kind of a threat with Russia, and the reason why is because Russia and China, if we were to take them on like everybody was expecting us to in the next 4 or 5 years, I don't think it would go too well for us because, they're two major powers. But if we were to separate Russia from China, well, might be a little bit better. But now it seems like Europe is heading towards China. There's a post on here today about all that. And Ukraine is, I don't know, it's a black hole, and they just want to keep feeding it. So I think Zelensky is the opposition to Zelensky if there was an election. You're kind of wondering why there isn't one as of yet, but I do believe, and polling has shown that Zelensky actually probably would win. I think a lot of the favor and a lot of the polling and everything for Zelensky is really, just kind of done on purpose to fabricate a narrative that he could handle it. But I don't know. It looks like we're getting close. So today does mark the 3rd year of the Russian invasion into Ukraine. I mean, how many billions of dollars? How many millions of lives? How many all of that? If we could stop it, it would really be a good thing. I don't see Putin and Russia as innocent. I don't see them as anything less than the aggressor. But they have done what they needed to do to secure that eastern portion of the country. So you've got two options. You can just either try everybody to go fight them, or you can say, okay, stop there, and I don't know. And that could go either way. That could go Neville Chamberlain World War II, or it could go, Winston Churchill World War II. Who knows? Who knows? But we are going to cover it all here, because that's what we do here on the Crisis Report, most comprehensive news on YouTube. I don't know. I'd like the Ukraine thing to end. I'd like to settle it all out, get the world back to normal footing. A lot of channels are starting to report on a lot of cataclysm being expected in the financial markets. So we're going to get going, okay? Thanks for being here. Hit the buttons and stuff. Yeah, I'll probably be at 10,400 subscribers for the rest of the time because, everything you see here is just so real. But keep coming back for more. We're going to keep doing it. I know people enjoy what we do here. I know people get a lot out of it. I get emails all the time, I know I cover things days before other people, but it is what it is. We all know who the real news bringer is. So we're all going to do it, and we're going to do it together here right now. So let's get going. Today marks 3 years, Russian invasion of Ukraine. Top EU bureaucrat Ursula von der Leyen wants to send billions of euros to Ukraine and scale up arms production because they're going to win. They're going to beat Russia. Putin with a glass of champagne in his hand said Russia attacked Ukraine because that's how fate worked out and that's how God wanted it. I mean, okay. You attacked him because you thought NATO was getting too close and nobody was listening to you, so you dropped the hammer. That's what I see, for better or for worse. So, I don't agree with the tactic, but at the same time, you can only push so far. So, I just want it all to end. You know, I want them to work it out and stop and get things back to normal because it's really destructive. It's hurting a lot of people. Multiple U.S. federal department building monitors were hacked and broadcasting an AI video of Musk and Trump. It was Trump sucking on his toes. It was kind of disgusting. But at the end of this broadcast, there's something that just kind of got leaked out about what's been going on in multiple federal agencies. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm a little sensitive to all this, but it seems like there's a lot of people in our government that are just frickin' perverts. Really sick, disgusting, demoralized, immoral human beings in our government. And I mean that. It really, what I'm going to tell you at the end of this broadcast is going to turn your stomach if you have any sense of decency. So, and we do here. You know, I'm one of those terrible preppers, you know, horrible person. You know, so you can hear from me first. I'll break the news to you. U.S. aid workers were fired and placed on leave. Good, get out. Pope still in critical condition but had a good night, according to the Vatican. Okay. He's kind of stable but still critical. Europe must reach defense independence of the United States, according to Germany's Merz. Russia will only stop Ukraine fighting when peace settlement suits Moscow, according to Lavrov. He basically said, we're going to dictate things. And to be honest with you, they probably will. Zelensky proposes all-for-all POW swap as a as a start of ending war. Okay, so get some POWs exchanged. It sounds like a good plan. China's Xi Jinping holds a phone call with Russia's Putin, according to state media. Apple says it's going to invest $500 billion in the United States over the next 4 years to hire 20,000 staff. They're also planning AI power farms, and Texas wants to do nuclear energy, and yeah, you know, a lot of things are shifting towards Texas because it's run with a little bit of sanity. That's all it takes. It doesn't take much in today's world. Just a touch of sanity and not wanting to put your dingus into strange places. I'm telling you, you have that combo, you're going to be okay. Mertz still seek good United States ties, but ready for worst case scenario. Germany's AfD aims to be the strongest party. The butthurt dude, World War III idiot, or whatever, was sitting there saying about how all of his youngins were voting communist, left-wing, green trash, whatever. Bro, you got your butt handed to you. The CDU is a central version of the right side of things, but yeah, it's pretty evident what's going on. But more people are going to go to AfD because there's a report coming on some of the policies that they supposedly had run on to fix. Well, they're back to their old, you know, shenanigans, saying we're not going to do that, but we'll get there. Massive Roosevelt Hotel shelter for illegal immigrants in New York City is going to be shut down. Ruh-roh. Senator Marsha Blackburn demanded that the FBI and IRS immediately release the full, unredacted Epstein flight logs and surveillance footage. I got a strange feeling that's going to get lost. Senator Marsha Blackburn, blah, blah, blah. That's a doubler. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced he is pushing to eliminate all property taxes in the state. That'll push a little bit of a land grab. IDF investigations and captured Hamas documents reveal that it took Hamas a year to dig 1 kilometer of a standard tunnel, costing $275,000 per kilometer. Several factors, such as size and type and function, can drive costs far beyond that of a basic mobility tunnel. Diversity of tunnels in Gaza complicates efforts to estimate the underground network's total cost. Still, reports indicate Hamas spent $90 million to construct just 3 dozen tunnels in 2014, and some analysts estimate that network's overall price tag exceeds $1 billion. So-called Hamas Metro spans 450 kilometers, 5,000 shafts. You can only imagine how much good the money could have done for the residents of the wretched place. Yet all of them were, and still are, complicit in how the funds are spent. Tunnels and the money aren't the real issue. It's the people. They need to be removed from our borders. That is Mr. Amir Sarfati, the supreme Israeli who, basically wants to remove all the Gazans and turn it into a nice luxury beachfront property. Final election results in Germany by seat. Christian Conservative Party wins 208 seats. SPD won 120 seats. Right wing AFD won 152 seats. So that is 360 seats to the right wing of things. So to World War III idiot, I don't know how the left won anything in this thing. There are 630 seats. Diagram of the coalition option between Christian conservatives and it'd be the Social Democrats, whatever, socialist, and the Christian Democrats, the quasi right wing, it would be like center left in America. They're going to hold 328 seats, and they're going to start a coalition government. But don't worry, it won't last long because they're just doing the same old things they will. They don't understand that people actually want real change, and letting people just come rolling into your country at any time, any way is not what they want. People, what the politicians want, and what the people want, are two different things. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson says the explosion at consulate in Marseille has all the characteristics of a terror attack. The Russian Foreign Ministry was attacked in Marseille, France. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, explosion at consulate in Marseille. That is a doubler. Ooh, two of those. Hezbollah in deep financial crisis. Hezbollah has halted compensation payments in too many supporters due to a severe financial shortfall. War damages are estimated at $3.4 billion, according to the Wall Street Journal. Hamas and Islamic Jihad anticipate that the ongoing hostage deal will soon collapse due to Israel's stance and the support of the Trump administration. In response, they are considering with Iran to prepare for renewed fighting. According to the intelligence assessments in Israel, Hamas is largely using the current ceasefire to restore its military capabilities and replenish its ranks, with new recruits in preparation for a return to combat in the Gaza Strip. Hamas assumes that Israel, backed by the Trump administration, will not alter its positions regarding key negotiation points, including the return of all hostages, the reduction of Hamas's control over Gaza, disarmament of its military wing, and the deportation of its leadership abroad. Well, all of that is, Hamas publicly announced days ago it will not relinquish its rule in Gaza, disarm, or deport its leaders. Fundamental gap in the positions but appears irreconcilable, and officials in Hamas and Islamic Jihad acknowledge the reality. For this reason, security sources report that Hamas and Islamic Jihad delegations recently traveled to Tehran, where they met with Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and the commander of the IRGC, General Hossein Salami, to coordinate their next moves against Israel. February 21st, General Ibrahim Jabari, advisor to IRGC commander, threatened during a military exercise that Operation The Righteous Truth Number 3, I like it, sounds like a wrestler, would be launched at an opportune moment and destroy Israel, specifically targeting Tel Aviv and Haifa. Senior security officials believe that these Tehran meetings resulted in agreements on financial aid transfers to Hamas and the smuggling of weapons into Gaza and terrorist groups in northern Samaria. Hamas's military wing is reportedly planning renewed attacks inside the Israeli territory. This is a long post, wow. Recent failed terrorist attacks on the buses in Bat Yam and Holon should be viewed in this context. Additionally, the release of hundreds of terrorists into Judea and Samaria during the first phase of the deal has strengthened Hamas's military capabilities in the field. Commentators in Gaza predict that Israel will resume fighting by mid-March. They expect Israel to focus first on suppressing terrorist activity in northern Samaria before shifting additional forces to Gaza. According to those assessments, Israel is likely to restart military operations once negotiations on the second phase of the deal reach a deadlock after the new chief of staff, Ayel Zamir, assumes office early next month. Hamas anticipates that the renewed fighting will be intense with backing from the Trump administration. IDF is expected to launch large-scale incursions into areas previously avoided, such as refugee camps in central Gaza. Rather than isolated raids, the anticipated strategy involves dividing the Gaza Strip into three sections using the three IDF divisions in the initial phase. Maneuver will also halt the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. That was a mouthful. Long story short, honeymoon is over. Once the hostages are done, you're looking at more war. Video shared on February 23rd, 2025, shows the point of view of Argentine Air Force warplanes patrolling Argentina's territorial waters as swarms of communist China fishing boats try to violate Argentine EEZ. In violation of international law, communist China, just like it does with Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, Ecuador, and Peru, is now once again trying to illegally fish on Argentine waters as part of a provocation by the Reds. Yep, that's right. That's why, people are like, oh, why is Trump going towards Russia? It's because Russia and China are not good buddies. Everybody knows that China is a freaking parasite. So, eventually they're going to want their pound of flesh, and I think Trump is like, you know what? If we could buddy-buddy with the Russians and maybe stay out of that whole big grand World War III thing, it might be worth it, but maybe I'm wrong. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar instructed the Foreign Ministry 3 weeks ago to open quiet talks with all far-right parties in France, Spain, and Sweden that have until now been officially boycotted by the Israeli government, 3 Foreign Ministry officials told Axios. Story about Trump is closing bases in Greece is fake news. Such a thing is based on an article by the newspaper. I can't read it because it's in Greek lettering. The author of the article makes a hypothesis that if discussions between Trump and Putin are productive, Trump could close down the Alexandroupolis base, a sign of goodwill. It follows similar fear-mongering by Romania and the Baltic liberals about the similar hypothetical situations for Baltics or Romania. So all that story was is to gin up a little bit of, anger at stuff, but it's not true. It was making a lot of the rounds earlier, and then I read that, and I was like, yeah. And then Trump was at a press conference, and they asked him about it. He's like, I know what you're talking about. So kind of a pretty good sign right there that that's some journalistic bull snatch. Oh, by the way, let's do the Bush. Bush. Tasty beverage. On the third anniversary of the start of the Russian full-scale invasion, Ukraine to receive significant assistance from world leaders who visited Kiev today. Finland, 4.5 million euros for infrastructure restoration, European integration. Australia, the largest package of sanctions since Russian Federation, 70 individuals and 79 organizations. New Zealand, sanctions against the Russian Federation. Spain, 1 billion euros in military aid. Denmark, 270 million euros. Sweden, air defense systems, it's worth 113 million. UK, 5.6 billion in military aid, and all that has been tabulated by the wonderfully pro-Turkish Clash Report. Thank you so much. Breaking NBC Nightly News anchor Lester Holt announced he is stepping down after a decade in the role. Lester Dolt. What are we going to do without you, buddy? If you were on this, on the PrepperNow, when I first started and you could see my face, I would make little soliloquy kind of parody things. And there's one I did that was called WFEAR News, Fear News. And yeah, it was kind of my voice. I did it in response to Lester Holt. So tonight on WFEAR News, Fear News. If you're not watching, then you're not scared. Yeah, so it's kind of like New York Prepper, but without a red alert. NBC Nightly News anchor Lester Holt is stepping down. Don't worry, I'm not talking smack on New York Prepper. He does good work, and a lot of people watch him, so good for you, buddy. Delta passengers were evacuated using slides at Atlanta International Airport on Monday after haze or smoke was spotted inside the plane. Russian government claims that Zelensky has no interest in peace and he is ready to sacrifice the entire people of Ukraine and its natural resources in order to hold on to his power. No. Whistleblowers expose that the FBI has begun permanently erasing files that may be connected to Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. What's going on there? Republican Representative Dan Crenshaw caught on a hot mic saying he would effing kill Tucker Carlson if they ever cross paths. We'll have a little bit more on that later. Tucker responds in his usual sardonic way. Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles are reportedly honored to visit the White House if Trump extends an invitation. It seems he got the memo that this isn't 2017, and actually people really like what the president's doing instead of acting like a bunch of butthurt NFL pussies that, can't go in and shake a man's hand. Yeah, it was kind of sniveling what they did, so I guess someone told them that it's a little bit different country now than it was, and they should buck up. Representative Anna Paulina Luna has announced that the Department of Justice has yet to respond to 2 letters requesting updates on the release of the Epstein and JFK files. IDF has attacked Rafah after rockets were launched. Earlier today, a projectile launched that fell inside the Gaza Strip was identified a short while ago. IDF struck the launch site from which the projectile was fired, as well as an additional launch site in the area. Trump says, I am in serious discussions with President Vladimir Putin of Russia concerning the ending of the war and also major economic development transactions, which will take place between the United States and Russia. Talks are proceeding well. Russia, United States, Hungary, and Israel voted today against a Ukrainian resolution proposal at the United Nations that calls Russia an aggressor and calls on its withdrawal from Ukrainian territory to its recognized borders. Germany discusses 200 billion euros in emergency defense spending. Trump wants to improve Ukraine. Zelensky has no choice of winning the election. They are zero unless there is a gross manipulation. Zelensky has driven himself into a dead end with a decree banning negotiations with Russia. Trump says we are aiming for a ceasefire in Ukraine first, then a peaceful settlement. Putin says that Russia and the United States want to achieve peace in Ukraine as quickly as possible, and Zelensky is preventing this. He also said Russia is ready to supply 2 million tons of aluminum to the U.S. market, which would stabilize prices. Tariffs against Mexico and Canada are still on schedule for March 4th. And many European allies are all ready to support Ukraine with equipment and troops. Will Doge use AI to assess email responses of federal workers told to justify their jobs? Yeah, we'll see. Doge will use AI. There we go. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday backed a suggestion by United States counterpart Donald Trump that Russia, U.S., China should cut their military budgets in half. I like that. Leader of the center-right CDU-CSU bloc, Mr. Merz, announced their start of coalition talks with center-left SPD. In total, both parties have enough MPs to form a majority bipartisan coalition government. Prayer rally organized in Rome for the Pope. Similar event took place. JPII's death was announced as John Paul II. My bad. Falling asleep. Trump stated that he would not object to the deployment of European peacekeeping forces in Ukraine if a peace agreement was made. Mentioned the following in conversation with Putin and French President Macron. Trump emphasized that the U.S. would not send troops, leaving the security guarantees to European nations. European leaders have been discussing potential contributions to ensure Ukraine's security, given the U.S.'s shift in policy under Trump. Reports indicate the Trump administration is considering dissolving the U.S. Africa Command, or AFRICOM, as part of an efficiency drive by transferring its area of responsibility to the European Command. However, it was previously reported that the Trump administration considered relocating U.S. Africa Command from Germany, which could involve significant costs and logistical challenges. UK will continue to send billions to Ukraine. British Prime Minister Starmer announced another $5.6 billion in military aid for Ukraine. We are ready to participate with forces in Europe, allies. Trump created an opportunity, he says. Germany's likely new Chancellor, Merz, announced that Germany will not close its borders to illegal immigrants. The United States voted today alongside Russia, North Korea, Belarus, and 14 other countries friendly to Russia against a resolution condemning Russia's invasion in Ukraine. Pretty interesting. Trump says that an agreement for minerals in Ukraine is very close. The deal is being worked on, and I think we're very close to getting an agreement where we get our money back over a period of time. We're in for $350 billion, and we had nothing to show for it. Federal employees at NSA, CIA, DIA reportedly caught engaging in a secret sex chat room. Okay. They were openly discussed genital castration. Always a fun favorite, just, talking about that. Ugh. Artificial vaginas. Ooh. Ooh. Ugh. Sexual fetishes. I think you've already got that covered. And, well, multiple groups putting the love down on each other in a gang where they kind of go after each other. So use your imagination. I can't say it. All while they were on the clock and being paid by the U.S. taxpayer. Oh, the poor people that are getting fired. Oh, how could you separate them from Pornhub? Yeah, right. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron have agreed to coordinate their actions in order to try to influence American leader Trump and persuade him to change his position in Ukraine by changing his plan to resolve the conflict. Reported by the British newspaper The Times. EU foreign ministers approved 16th package of sanctions against Russia. Great Britain will introduce today the largest package of sanctions against Russia in the entire history of the anniversary of Putin's illegal war against Ukraine. United States unfreezes $336 billion in foreign military aid to Philippines and continue provocations by China against Manila. Britain is ready to send troops to Ukraine, doing what other European countries are already doing, or along with other countries doing it. Spanish foreign minister suggested considering the possibility of having a rapid reaction force in the EU that could become the core of a European army. Canada will provide 5 billion Canadian dollars obtained from foreign frozen Russian assets. Okay, what they're going to use it for, but here's 5 million. Noted neocon representative Dan the Man Crenshaw, Republican from Texas, threatened to kill journalistic icon Mr. Tucker Carlson if the two ever cross paths. When asked by GB News correspondent Stephen Eddington toward the end of an interview if he had ever met Carlson, Crenshaw, a.k.a. I Patch McCain, replied, if I'll ever meet him, I'll effing kill him. And yeah, no, seriously, I would do this. So, of note, it appears that Great British News has deleted the video of the interaction. Oh, okay, wonderful. Carlson said, why don't you come sit for an interview and we'll see how you do. I'll send you my address at Dan Crenshaw, Texas. That's how you respond, folks. Classy. I had a guy earlier basically said he wanted to go to blows. And I just said, hashtag tough guy. What am I going to do? Excuse me. So, yeah, that's Crisis Report. Cool. February 24th, 2025. Check out the ramp. Check out this. Check out PrepperNow. Check out Crisis Report. Hit the like button. Do the subscribe thing. Darken out the bell. Get the notifications. And we're just so glad to have you here. All right, friends. God bless. Links in the description. Check them out. We'll see you on the next one.